Stay frosty, team. I used to eat punks like this for breakfast.
Hey, Auntie. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
These are the top 25 unscripted scenes in superhero movies.
Shazam! Lights out! Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What?
1989's Batman is the perfect scene to kick off this list because Michael Keaton's version of the character is a very realistic one.
Don't kill me! Don't kill me, man!
I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
The best part of this Batman was that underneath the cool suit and one-liners, you could tell he was genuinely insane, and that makes total sense for a grown man in a bat costume.
You're not exactly normal, are you?
It's not exactly a normal world, is it?
Anyway, the part where Bruce Wayne totally loses it and asks the Joker to get nuts with him was completely Keaton's idea, and it works so well here because of the stakes involved. I want to talk about something else in this sequence too, but I can't do it just yet, so you'll have to wait a little while.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Kill you.
You idiot!
Yeah, and we don't be knowing that lid ain't coming off without that dome gonna come off with it.
I'm so sorry, beautiful. I want this to be gentle. Who is your dialect coach? The Minions? I feel like we are missing critical exposition here.
Yeah, this is a whole other level of hilarious, and all the credit goes to Channing Tatum for being able to give us one of the funniest scenes in a movie that has Deadpool in its title. Yeah, Gambit was such a great addition to this film, even though it was just a cameo, but still, the mumbo-jumbo he kept spewing out of his mouth had everyone in splits.
Gambit! I ain't know my daddy, but I'm sure I shot out of his dick ready.
Jesus Christ, that is graphic.
The weird Cajun and French accent was all his idea, and the random words coming out of his mouth enhanced every single time the camera focused on him.
Man, my dad's from New Orleans, he's from Metairie, and I grew up in Pascagoula, Gaucher, Mississippi, so like, you know, it was all around just the bayou in general. So.
That's how you got your accent?
Kinda, yeah.
I'm sure even Ryan Reynolds would have given him a pat on the back for such a great piece of improv.
You just make sure people know what happened here today. And when you get out of here, you have a drink for me, yeah?
Let us see what you brought.
One would imagine that the Guardians of the Galaxy would have a lot of unscripted moments, and it's actually true. One particular scene that does qualify for this list is when Chris Pratt drops the orb while handing it to the Collector. Yes, it may have seemed like an innocent mistake at first, which is probably why James Gunn decided to keep it. However, Pratt later admitted that he wanted Star-Lord to have his moment, which is why he chose not to inform his director what he had in mind.
Raised from youth by a band of mercenaries called the Ravagers, led by Yondu Udonta.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
Well, he was able to stay in character the whole time, so I don't think Gunn would have had any issue regardless.
And Quill, your ship is filthy.
Oh, she has no idea. If I had a black light, the place would look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
We all Googled the word "Ibombe" after this epic moment in Infinity War, haven't we? I believe it means stand firm, and if that's the case, then it couldn't have been more relevant. There's an interesting story behind this one too. Chadwick Boseman started chanting the Ibombe war cry after he saw M'Baku showing up and screaming his own chant. It was almost as if he realized he should try to hype everyone up, and it was a great idea for an actor who was going through so much at the time. Yes, Boseman was suffering from cancer while shooting this movie, and to be able to give such a charged up performance is nothing short of miraculous. Rest in power, my man. You deserve the world.
Seems like I'm always thanking you for something.
What are you doing?
We don't do that here.
Prove what?
That's your Peter Parker.
I don't carry an ID with me, you know, it kind of defeats the whole anonymous superhero thing.
Zendaya is one of the hottest actresses in the industry right now, and no, I don't mean by virtue of her looks. I was referring to her popularity in general, and it's not without reason. She's done a lot to deserve her flowers, and in this particular piece of improv further proves why she adds so much value to whatever project signs her on.
Crawl around.
Crawl around?
Yes.
No.
Yes, crawl around.
Why do I need to crawl around?
Because this is not enough.
This is plenty.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is.
The bread-throwing antic was all her idea, and I can totally believe that because of her general vibe. Andrew Garfield's expression also suggests that he wasn't expecting it at all. It's a very entertaining moment which made everyone in the audience laugh, so Zendaya's aces in my book.
Are you excited for MIT?
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, actually, I am excited, which is weird because I don't really get excited about things. I kind of expect disappointment.
Because then you'll never actually be disappointed, right?
Yeah, right.
The man who attacked you is an associate of his called Sabretooth.
Sabretooth. Storm. What do they call you? Wheels?
It shouldn't be a surprise that Wolverine finds himself in this video, but oh man, I had no idea Hugh Jackman could be so savage.
So read my mind.
I'd rather not.
Come on. You afraid you might like it?
I doubt it.
He actually improvised the line where he asks Professor X if they call him Wheels. If he told me this was scripted, I'd believe it because Logan is the type of guy to say just those sorts of things. However, the fact that Hugh Jackman came up with that only goes to prove why he'll forever remain the only correct choice to play Wolverine. Yeah, there's no way Logan was going to see heaven after saying something like that, but it's not like the actual comic names are any different. I mean, Cyclops isn't exactly the best name to give someone who can't take his glasses off, is it?
There's someone here.
Where?
I don't know. Keep your eye open.
Logan.
You know, recently Dr. Connors gave Gwen a glowing college recommendation. It was beautiful. When I read it, I cried. But you would have me believe that he, in his spare time, is running around dressed up like a giant dinosaur.
Not dressing up and not a dinosaur. He has transformed himself into a giant lizard.
Godzilla is the undisputed king of the monsters, and even though he may not be a superhero, he does get a shout out in one of the most underappreciated Spider-Man movies of all time. The Amazing Spider-Man does a lot of things right, and even NYPD Captain George Stacy makes a strong impact despite being a side character whose main job in this film is to die for character development. Comparing himself to the mayor of Tokyo was something his actor Dennis Leary came up with on his own, and I feel it adds a nice bit of humour to an otherwise serious scene. I'm actually surprised Andrew Garfield didn't let out a little chuckle here.
Let me ask you a question. Do I look like the mayor of Tokyo to you?
Everybody else, spread out, catch the strays. Yeah. Oh, and try to have fun. Otherwise, what's the point?
When Jim Carrey is part of your movie, you can rest assured that he's going to be bringing those ad-libs. His role as Colonel Stars and Stripes is one of the more memorable ones from Kick-Ass 2, which also happens to be a nice exception to the superhero genre, which is dominated by DC and Marvel.
You know, you shouldn't talk with your mouth full. It's very rude. Come on.
It's hard for me to say which lines are improvised because all the sources I've read have said that Carrey ad-libs throughout this sequence. So if you keep that in mind, let's assume that most of the Colonel's lines are basically Jim Carrey flexing his screenwriting skills. I'd personally like to imagine that the description he provides of the goon situation was all his own.
Who the hell are you?
We're the good guys.
Oh no, you're the bad guys.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this was literally a couple of seconds, but the phrase that Bruce Wayne, or should I say Ben Affleck, improvises here is relatable to almost every human being on the planet. It's the phrase you use when you know you've messed up or are certain that you're in deep trouble. Can you even blame him though? Bro's up against a demon who survived a nuclear missile. Seeing Doomsday charging at you would send shivers down anyone's spine, even Wonder Woman and Superman. So yeah, a man like Bruce Wayne whose main superpower is being rich doesn't really stand a chance, which makes his statement all the more relatable. And yes, this came out of Ben Affleck's mouth naturally because that man has clearly seen his fair share of disasters.
He's hungry. He's found us. And he's coming!
I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Okay, this one's pretty emotional, and it's even more shocking when you realise that Tom Holland did this whole sequence on his own. Yes, the part where Spider-Man vanishes as one of several others during the snap is an extremely difficult piece to watch, because we as the audience can feel his fear and understand why he doesn't want to go. However, a snap is a snap, so Peter Parker has to bid us farewell for a while. I've really got to give it to Tom Holland for pulling off something so dramatic without any assistance from the writers. I'm sure the Russo brothers must have seen this and been like, heck yeah, we're definitely using this.
Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here.
Happy trails, kid. Friday, send him home.
Yep. Oh, come on!
That's a lovely, lovely voice.
Bane really went from a Joker-level villain to a simp in the space of an exposition, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he truly terrorized the audience for the most part of The Dark Knight Rises.
Thank you, good doctor.
Now, Tom Hardy is an excellent performer, but he also happens to be the first to appreciate other such performers as well. Right before he pulls off his brutal plan to trap cops and basically gain control of Gotham, Bane takes a few seconds to appreciate the little boy singing the national anthem. The producers claim that this was all Tom Hardy, who didn't need to pause at that particular second. He just wanted to talk about how lovely the boy's voice was, and if you replay the scene, it does feel like a genuine act of appreciation rather than just another condescending statement.
Leave us.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
No, here's my point. You know what? She's great. Sit down. We need you. You're new blood. A bunch of tired old mules. I got nothing for you, Cap. I got no coordinates, no clues, no strategies, no options, zero, zip, nada. No trust.
Robert Downey Jr. is great with sass, with his badassery, and most importantly, as Tony Stark. He also happens to be a master of improv, as can be seen here in one of the most serious scenes he's had to execute in the MCU.
We needed was a pseudo-armor around the world. Remember that? Whether it impacted our precious freedoms or not. That's what we needed.
Well, that didn't work out, did it?
I said we'd lose. You said, we'll do that together, too. And guess what, Cap? We lost. And you weren't there.
This is right after Thanos beats the Avengers and obliterates half of all humanity, so naturally, people aren't exactly going to be cheerful. However, in the middle of an extremely powerful rant where Tony calls out Steve for not being united with him during their most important battle, he also manages to give us an unscripted line calling Captain America a liar. It may feel like just one word, but it speaks to what Tony's really feeling deep inside, and it hits everyone, not just Steve. It really takes a lot of talent to be able to pull this off, and yet Mr. Downey Jr. makes it look so effortless.
Here, take this. You find him, you put that on. You hide. Tony, fine. Let me...
I found my daddy with Panther claws in his chest. You ain't the son of a king, you a son of a murderer.
Who you see, son? Lies!
I'm afraid not, Queen Mother.
You in that talking job.
Hey, Auntie.
Black Panther has tons of memorable moments, and most importantly, a brilliant villain. Michael B. Jordan put on the performance of a lifetime as Killmonger, but I'm not covering acting performances in this video, so instead, I'm focusing on the love he shows his auntie. Well, it ain't exactly love, but rather a taunt towards T'Challa's mom, who is in fact his aunt by blood.
Yeah, go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
I don't know what Michael B. Jordan was thinking at this time. That has to be one of the most diabolical ad-libs I've ever heard in a movie, let alone a superhero flick. The smug look on his face right after must have come naturally, because there's no way that dude was trying to hold back after delivering such an iconic line.
I took life from my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent. And all this death. Just so I could kill you.
Up, up, and away, Webb! Shazam! Go! Go! Go, Webb, go!
Marvel and DC are the two juggernauts of the comic book world, and there's no one else in the industry that can compete with their legacies. Despite the famed competition between the two brands, they've collaborated on crossovers before, but this particular unscripted moment didn't involve any of their brand heads. Instead, it had Tobey Maguire just randomly saying DC phrases in the hopes of shooting out his spiderwebs in the OG Spider-Man film. Now, I don't know which lines were specifically improvised, but I have read that most of this particular scene is just Tobey going with the flow.
Go, Webb! Fly!
You know, they say that only this Spider-Man can use organic webs, but I think that bro simply used the correct combo of DC lines to activate them. Imagine if No Way Home had a post-credit scene with Tobey trying to teach the same combo to Andrew Garfield.
I'm gonna ask you this one time. Where is Gamora?
Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
When it comes to confronting people about missing teammates, I don't think "who is Gamora" would be the type of answer that would give you reassurance. In the case of Drax though, bro figured he should at least try to get some of the limelight, so he came up with the genius, "Why is Gamora?"
That because they were going back and forth, and Chris, it was actually Chris Pratt, he said, you should have a line there, and I don't know what it is, but you should have a line there. And so I just started shouting out stuff. And that was the "Why is Gamora?"
Look, Dave Bautista has been a little bit too political lately, and his recent look doesn't exactly give tough wrestler vibes, but the man definitely delivered here, and I want to say it's a smart move. Nobody's going to really care that much about a guy like Drax in a movie that has Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and countless others who are way more famous. But they'll remember a hilarious one-liner, and that's where Drax steals the show. Apparently, Chris Pratt told Bautista that he deserves a line in the middle of this questioning, and that's where he started to blurt out random stuff, after which the iconic line was born.
All right, I have a plan. Or at least the beginnings of one. It's pretty simple. We draw him in, pin him down, get what we need. Definitely don't want to dance with this guy. We just want the gauntlet. Are you yawning? In the middle of this while I'm breaking it down? Huh? Did you hear what I said?
Stop listening after you said we need a plan.
You might join me for a week.
The modern generation has a different understanding of the Joker character due to the Oscar-winning performance of Heath Ledger and also Joaquin Phoenix's depiction in 2019's Joker. Not the sequel though, okay? We're not talking about that. Anyway, these depictions were definitely great, but it's important to note that Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker was easily the most popular and loved one till The Dark Knight came along.
You're crazy. Haven't you ever heard of the healing power of laughter?
I'll easily place him above Phoenix's Joker because for some reason, Nicholson just fits so naturally into the role. Now, I already covered the "let's get nuts" line, but since Bruce Wayne gets shot after that, he doesn't make it to the top 10. Instead, the Joker does. Because the silly little dance he does before blowing a raspberry was completely improvised by Nicholson.
I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist.
What do you want?
My face on the $1 bill.
See, this felt so natural that I myself was shocked when I learned that the dance wasn't scripted. This is exactly why people really need to put some respect on 1989 Joker's name.
It's as though we were made for each other. Beauty and the Beast. Of course, if anyone else calls you Beast, I'll rip their lungs out.
Steven. Wong.
What do you want, stranger?
Books on astral projection.
You're not ready for that.
Try me, Beyonce.
One of the greatest cinematic sins of all time was when Iron Man failed to use the famous "no shit Sherlock" line against Benedict Cumberbatch during their several arguments in Infinity War. However, Doctor Strange himself made sure to at least activate his own sass mode when he was chatting with Wong in his first film. So there's an actual sequence to this, as Stephen was trying to equate Wong with people like Adele and Madonna, who also have single names. They eventually led to Cumberbatch using the line, "Try me, Beyonce," when Wong told him he wasn't ready for the advanced books. This was improvised for sure, but it also influenced later parts in the movie, such as when Wong listens to single ladies while Doctor Strange steals the books from behind him. I swear, Mr. Cumberbatch should have been credited as one of the writers for this movie just by virtue of this line.
How long have you been at Kamatage, Mr.
Doctor.
Mr. Doctor?
It's strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
Now I'm standing. You all happy? We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
So this one's a bit of an oddball because even though Bradley Cooper is the one voicing Rocket Raccoon, he's not the guy who came up with the jackass line. As a matter of fact, it was James Gunn's brother, Sean, who got the idea during the filming process. It was easy to include later in post-production because Rocket Raccoon is a CGI character. All they had to do was to get Bradley Cooper to say the lines and then edit the movements of Rocket accordingly. Having said that, it does seem natural for Rocket Raccoon to hurl obscenities even during serious moments, because that's pretty much what his character was made out to be, of course, until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came along.
I've had a lot of folks try to kill me over the years. I ain't about to be brought down by a tree and a talking raccoon. Old?
What's a raccoon?
What's a raccoon? It's what you are, stupid.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
But yeah, this was definitely a classic moment because you've got all these guys getting really serious and emotional with each other, and then a talking raccoon comes along to completely shift the mood with his not so family friendly comments.
And how on earth were they gonna turn us over when you only gave them a count of 5?
We didn't have time to work out the minutiae of the plan. This is what we get for acting altruistically.
I'm Groot.
They are ungrateful.
Hi, coming to you.
Keep up, old man.
Nobody would know. Nobody.
Look, I get it. Hawkeye is probably the least popular Avenger, and it's not due to any fault of his own. I mean, the guy's got some neat skills, but he's up against the likes of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. Plus, Black Widow is played by Scarlett Johansson, so there's no way Clint Barton's beating her on the popularity polls either. So, I wouldn't go too hard on the guy for letting his intrusive thoughts take over when Sokovian Quicksilver took his sis away from him so abruptly. What's even funnier is the fact that Jeremy Renner came up with this idea all on his own. I actually like Jeremy as an actor, especially with movies like Hurt Locker in his filmography.
It's a trick. No, it's much more than that.
Whosoever be he worthy shall have the power.
Whatever, man, it's a trick. Well, please be my guest.
So to see such a quick-witted response to this situation was really cool. But yeah, the look in his eyes definitely suggested that bro was gonna let the dark side take over at any moment.
Oh, he's flatlining. Call it. Time?
No, I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna be made of plastic.
You look taller.
Look, when you're as ripped and jacked as Chris Evans is, it shouldn't come as a surprise that girls will be all over you. This logic would apply to even the most attractive women on the planet, one of them being Hayley Atwell. Yes, during an interview with Craig Ferguson, she mentioned that she was genuinely taken aback by how buff her co-star really is, and she couldn't help but stare at his pecs for an extended period of time.
Who's the gentleman with whose man boob you fell?
Chris Evans, who plays Captain America.
I don't think he has man boobs, though. He's got firm chestly areas.
Well, they were absolutely enormous, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
It actually helps the audience understand how miraculous Steve's transformation is, while also showcasing how Peggy can try all she wants, but she still had to give in to the power of Riz. As far as the touching of Captain America's chest is concerned, Hayley Atwell once again conceded that it was something that came to her in the heat of the moment, so she decided to go ahead with it. Yeah, I was just calling out Hawkeye for having intrusive thoughts, but it looks like the ladies have taken it a step further.
Well, what about you and Stark? How do I know you two haven't been fondue-ing?
you still don't know a bloody thing about women.
The Joker is a known and respected character in the film industry, not just comic book or superhero movies. This is obviously due to the nuance and uniqueness Heath Ledger had brought to the character. So in this sequence, the Joker is behind bars and Gordon's told that he's now become a commissioner, which would naturally attract a round of applause. Nothing too off about it, right? The only thing is that along with all the comps clapping for Gordon, we also see the Joker very creepily applauding him as well. Bro was given such an uncomfortable stare that it made Gordon wonder if he even deserved that promotion at all. Also, the fact that Heath Ledger just randomly decided to do this on his own would have probably made Gary Oldman's reaction also seem more genuine. I know there's the hospital scene as well, but I read somewhere that it was actually scripted, contrary to popular belief, so I didn't want to take an uninformed risk. This one though, 100% improv.
Well, you look nervous. Is it the scars? You want to know how I got them? Come here. Hey. Look at me.
Hey! Hey! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Thor Ragnarok was a unique take on the God of Thunder and somehow managed to convince the entire creative team at Marvel to simply change the character from badass to fat dude to unfunny. I may not be a fan of that decision, but I do like the fact that one of the lines from this movie actually came from the mind of a little boy. Yeah, that's correct. A kid from Make-A-Wish Foundation came up with the line where Thor tells everyone that the Hulk is a friend from work.
When we were shooting Ragnarok, we had a young kid on set who was unwell at the time and had come to visit, and we were shooting the scene with Hulk and Thor in the arena, and it was right when I was talking to the Hulk and I was saying, "Oh my God, it's you! Where have you been?" And and he was on the sideline. He's like, "Why don't you say when you look up at Loki in the crowd, say he's a friend from work?" And then so that line...
A kid gave you that line?
Kid gave us that line, yeah, and became one of the best lines in the movie.
This was actually an instantaneous moment as Chris Hemsworth himself revealed it in an interview. Just as Thor was getting excited to see Hulk, the child had suggested using the friend from work line while he was on the side watching the whole thing unfold. And in turn, we got one of the most memorable moments from the entire movie. Yeah, Taika Waititi needs to brush up his writing skills if a kid was able to offer something so much more valuable than at least half of this movie's dialogues.
Hey, Banner.
No Banner, only Hulk.
What are you doing?
It's me.
All right, hey. All right, good job, guys. Let's just not come in tomorrow. Let's just take a day. You ever tried shawarma? There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
We're not finished yet.
I personally love shawarmas. They're a great option for a light dinner or a heavy snack, and they hit the sweet spot especially after a long night of partying. In the case of the Avengers, the same would apply after saving New York from an army of Chitauri monsters. After Iron Man saves the world and is in turn saved by the Hulk before he crashes into the ground, he realizes that everyone needs a break from all of this madness. So, what does he suggest? Getting a nice shawarma to ease the adrenaline. This was a line that Robert Downey Jr. wanted to try, and after discussing it with director Joss Whedon, we not only got this moment, but also an entire post-credit scene where all the Avengers are enjoying a nice bite of Middle Eastern cuisine. I've got to say though, we should give this shawarma joint a lot of credit for being open even during an alien invasion. Then again, I guess with the kind of rent you have to pay in New York, the owner probably didn't have much of a choice.
Wait, Vanessa loves you. She doesn't care what you low. Oh, do you like what you see? No. You look like an avocado. Had sex with an older, more disgusting avocado.
TJ Miller and Ryan Reynolds seem to work really well together, especially when it comes to insults. We all know that Deadpool's face isn't exactly the Mona Lisa of men's beauty, but damn, Weasel could have at least tried to cut him some slack here. The stuff he says to Wade Wilson after he notices how messed up his face is totally caught me off guard. I can't even say most of the stuff they use because it's pretty intense. What I can say is that some of those insults involved Shrek taking a poo on Wade's face and a house fire that would happen in Inception.
Like Shrek took a shit on your neck. You look like the inside of other people's...
You know what the funniest part is about these roasts? They were all thought of on the spot by both TJ Miller and Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, they came up with these extremely questionable lines and it clearly looked like they were having fun with it. It almost felt as if the director just turned the cameras on and let the actors have a field day. I guess it really is true what they say about being completely at peace if you're able to make fun of yourself.
Your head looks like some sort of crystal that you would see at a 2-bit psychic. Can I touch it?
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Who would have thought that the most legendary line of the MCU was actually improvised by the very sassy and very iconic Robert Downey Jr.? Yes, that's right, the "I am Iron Man" line wasn't a scripted moment. This happens right at the end of the film, where Tony has to give a press conference and lie to the public about his suit being used by one of his bodyguards. Of course, we all know that's not how the whole thing was played out, and instead we got a legacy moment. Now, as per reports, most of the script for this film wasn't even completed when shooting started, so a lot of the stuff had to be improvised. But this particular line holds so much importance, as it would go on to define the MCU's most valuable character across its most successful phases. Plus, if you look at how cool Tony Stark is when he says this, it makes the whole thing even more badass. Yeah, it's only appropriate that this particular moment got chosen as the #1 entry on this list.
I don't think I'm Iron Man.
You're not Iron Man. Remember? You're not.
So, all right, shoot yourself.
Hope you like this video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.